Hi everyone, Shabbat Shalom. As you can see here, I have got a lot of bread, hence like a baker, and also some wine, grape juice, and nice wine, hence the butler also. So that's what we're talking about this week's Parsha. It is Shabbat, Parshat Vayeshev, and Yosef is going to be thrown by Potiphar into a dungeon, into some sort of a bore, a pit, and a kind of Egyptian kind of prison, and it's going to be slandered there for many, many years. And hence, who is going to enter inside this pit, inside this dungeon? There's going to be a baker over here. That's why I've got the bread out. And also the butler, the person that is responsible for squeezing the grapes and the juice into Pharaoh's, into the king, the Egyptian king's cups, and all his servants and everything else. So what's interesting in this week's Parsha is that after many years inside a prison, a very, very torrid time, he's devastated, Yosef is, but at the same time, he's able to engage with everyone. He knows that Hashem is with him, and he can engage with everyone, speak to everyone, cheer everyone up. And he sees there's two people agitated, the butler and the baker also, respectively. And they both had dreams, and it was agitating them. So he asked them, tell me what's happened in this dream. So the butler actually turns to Yosef HaTzadik and says to Joseph, I had this dream where I had 3 vines, and I started... I was pouring it into the cup of Pharaoh, and hence and so on forth, these 3 vines, and so it agitated him what had to actually happen inside the dream. So he wanted an interpretation. So Yosef, with the Ruach HaKodesh he's got, and the splendidness in interpreting the dreams, he said that number 3, or the vines, symbolizes three days. And within regards to the cup and the vines itself, in 3 days' time, you are going to pour for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, a cup of wine. You're going to squeeze the grapes and fruit the vines, and you are going to give it to him. Hence, you are going to be reinstated into your position as a butler, and everything's going to be okay. You can be released from servitude. And then the baker is agitated, and what's happened in his dream? So he relates over the dream. He says, I have a basket over my head, and inside of it, there was birds that were going around it and were surrounding it at the time. And at the time, there was 3 baskets over there full of different delicacies, bread, whatever it might have been, but there was a bird on top of it. So he was agitated. What does this mean? So Yosef breaks the bad news to him that in 3 days' time, number 3, hence the 3 baskets, is going to symbolize 3 days. What's going to happen in 3 days' time? He is going to be excommunicated. He's going to face ultimate death penalty. Unfortunately, the baker is from the hands of Pharaoh. So, hence 3 days later, Pharaoh on his birthday, he calls over the butler and the baker, and what happens is that yes, the dream interpretations was correct. The butler will be pouring again the drink, the wine, the grape juice, whatever it might have been, using the vines into the cup of Pharaoh, and the baker was unfortunately decimated. He garnished out of this world, got the punishment which was interpreted. And that's the incredibleness of Yosef. But how did Yosef know with regards to the baker? How is he going to be sentenced to this gruesome penalty? He's going to lose his life. Why is that? So those birds that were hovering over the baskets where all the food products was on top of the baker, what was it? They were flying around there because they thought it was irrelevant. The baker was not really there. There's no baker there or anything like that. So that's how he sensed that, the baker is not there. The baker, he's not going to make it. And stuff like that. The wisdom of Yosef. That's one of the lessons we learn from the story of Yosef and the butler and the baker. However, there's another story which we can learn within regards to this. And we actually, hence, this laps over into next week's Parsha, and very much on topic to nowadays. How does this relate over? Because next week's Parsha, we're actually going to see at the start of it, Pharaoh now is going to have, the king of Egypt is going to have some gruesome very perplexing dreams. He doesn't know what's going to be going on, and he's agitated, and he asks everyone in Egypt for assistance, for help. What does these dreams mean which I'm having? Goes to everyone, and finally, the butler himself, where actually it was Joseph told the butler when the butler was going to be released, Joseph actually told him, remember me when you speak to Pharaoh. However, for 2 years, he didn't remember Yosef, and 2 years went past. Finally, the butler reminds Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, that Yosef is able to interpret these dreams. So Yosef comes, he rushes him in and everything else. But what's interesting is, and obviously he is going to relate over the dreams in the correct fashion. But what's interesting is what we learn also, which is happening now, we see in the international media. And, we do have a little, at the moment, we're in the middle of this conflict we don't want to get into from the 7th of October. What happened was, and I believe that Butler is a microcosm of many of our, let's say, our friends, so-called friends. The Butler says to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, I know that there's this Yosef, this person that interprets dreams, but what does he call? He gives a dig into Yosef, into Joseph. He calls him an Ivri. And the word Ivri, according to Rashi, is something derogatory. It's something like, to put him down. Like he's just he's just like this and, that. He's not giving him a Chubad, a honorary title. He's calling him an Ivri over here, which is like a derogatory term. And we see now, we've got a lot of friends out there that is giving Israel the right to self-determination and everything else. But at the same time, there's a lot of criticism. They're not doing it with open arms. There's a lot of criticism going on in the side and everything else. And this thing of the Butler's attitude with regards to Joseph, when he's doing a favor finally for Joseph, he's still got to do it in a way where it's not like full-hearted. It's got to be done with like a small sort of a hit at the same time. And unfortunately we see that according to Rashi, and now we see that in modern day, that where they are friends of Israel, there are a lot of friends, but at the same time they're going to say the word but. You are not doing this correctly, but you're not doing that correctly, but you're not taking care of this, but there's always a but involved, and unfortunately that is thing. So we see two lessons from this whole episode, along with many more lessons: the geniusness of Joseph, and also unfortunately the, let's just say, ridiculing, which some people could do, the making fun of, maybe the Hebrew nation, also at the same time very much representing the Butler, who has got everything to have gratitude for Joseph, where he doesn't show that gratitude at the end. He doesn't just ignore it for 2 years that he did him this great chesed. He also, at the end, ultimately actually has to put him down eventually while remembering him. I would like to dedicate this video to Fega Bat Esther for a full refuah shlema, and all of Am Yisrael tzah brachot. Take care and Shabbat Shalom.